Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BGCS show, week 6. My name is Dwarf, and joining me today is Kyle,
Hello.
Reptic, and for the very first time, Loopy. How are you all doing, lads?
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you, Dwarf. How are you, Loopy? I don't think Loopy's alive.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you, Dwarf?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be
I'm
here.
good. I'm good.
Loopy's
I'm
good as well.
He's back now.
Always,
He's back.
yeah. Just so that we know he's good, I'm glad we got that information out there. So we've got a fairly interesting show lined up for us today. Obviously, first off, we do our usual catch up, go over the previous matches. We've got quite a few interesting, meaningful matches that happened this week. Some implications towards who's going to be making playoffs. So it doesn't look like the overlay has been overly friendly. Oh, it's because of the Res Lotus match, isn't it? Yeah, that's on me. That is actually going to be a match that's being played at 9. The Resurrection versus Lotus. So we've only got 3 matches for the Wallbusters. So without further ado, let's start off with our catch up with the Unseen versus Fearless 5. For Loopy.
Okay, so it was 3-1 to Unseen. Unseen looked very good. Well, Fizz 5 looked very good in the first game. All pressure, just getting around Unseen, defense and offense. And then after game 1, just game 2 and 3, game 2, 3 and 4, Unseen just came out very strong with passing plays, etc., and just pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll pass on to. Wait, sorry, I forgot who the next game is.
Team Miracle versus Team. Who's taking this one?
Carl.
That would be me, and this was probably the most important game, of the season so far. Everything was sort of on the line. The hype from last week's podcast built it up, and I don't think this game really lived up to the hype, in my opinion. I was expecting a close game, and it just wasn't close. Team, they just didn't look as strong as they have. And I think that was more down to just Miracle, the pressure that this team holds, the passing plays, and, just their ability to keep the ball out the net as well, just made for, just a one-way sort of steamroll. But it's not over. That helped Miracle. I think that clinched them. Someone correct me. Not quite. Well, but made it much easier for them. And it gave all the work for Team. It's not all doom and gloom for Team. They've still very much in with a chance. They just need to win their last game and then hope for some other results here or there. And that'll pass us on to Corinthians versus Complex, which is also me, I believe.
Yep, that's yourself.
Yeah, we've got another really, a surprising result, in my opinion. Corinthians high flying, riding a wave of after beating the Unseen in game week 5, and it all came crashing down as Complex, come out and turn them over 3-0, and that was with using a free agent as well. So that was a very impressive. We all know what Stelflin. We all know the powers that he possesses, and it really showed in this game, that Corinthians couldn't do much to stop them. And also Jack, the free agent, who we seen only half an hour, 40 minutes ago, play, unfortunately didn't get a good result there, but he really stepped up and played very well for Complex in that game. So yeah, it was just another. It's been quite a boring week all round. A lot of 3-0s and 3-1s, and that was another one of the 3-0s. And Complex took it. Unfortunately, they weren't through, but it really puts a hindrance on Corinthians. They need to win their last game against Team Miracle to have any chance of getting through. And that leads us on to the next game, which is in the Wall Thrusters. I don't know what game it is because it's not on the screen, but whoever it is, take over.
It's Ophiosa versus Clinical Masterminds. I'm not too sure who took that
That's
one.
Loopy has got
That's
that one.
me. So 3-0 to Clinical Masterminds. Clinical, just very, very strong with pressure. Just like Officia didn't let him have any pressure, like any space. Like let him have all the space. But double committing on defense, like just over committing and just was missing the ball a lot. So that's why I think Clinical beat Officia 3-0, which I think they got playoffs now. If I'm not
Clinical
mistaken.
do clinch, yes.
Okay. So we'll just pass off to Celos versus Interstellar Esports. I don't know who that is.
It's me.
That's Reptic, yeah.
Yeah. So very, very interesting match. You know, all the games were a one. Yeah, each game was one goal difference. Just shows how close the series was. You know, Interstellar take it in that 3-1 victory, but you know, as I said, I think the only reason they really took this game is, you know, they were able to pretty much just put the ball in the back of the net more. Stellaris hitting that crossbar quite often, and that's kind of the only reason Interstellar won this match. Very close all around. Next up is Broken Esports versus CK. What is myself again? I believe, and you know, CK Esports just dominating the field in this game. Broken looked like they could have had a chance in that first game, but not able to close it out, and CK Esports just dominate the series and the rest of the games, winning that game 3 with a 10-2 victory. Just complete domination in this series. And following this is Team Dynasty versus Flame.
So this game, the game that we just saw today at 7 p.m, was casted by Reptic and Kyle, of course. 3-0 Dynasty, which is probably the biggest upset that we could have seen so far, to be honest. It's a massive upset, especially in this fashion, being 3-0. Flame Esports having to bring in MC Main, and as much as he's played well in the past, as much as I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing again at 9 for either Lotus or Resurrection. So we'll see how that goes for him. But it wasn't working with them. Minty, I think, overcommitting quite a few times and not being able to take advantage of the chances that they were given. Dynasty, I think they got a few fluky goals, but at the same time, they were able to hold on to them and bring the victory in each game. Obviously, getting the 3-0, which isn't huge for them because they're already out, but they've also made sure that Flame will not be making playoffs. So that pretty much sums us up for our little catch up here, a little recap of what happened in the previous week, and now to reminisce a little bit more as we talk about the journeys that have happened throughout the entirety of this season. Obviously, we still have 1 week to go, but we'll have other stuff to talk about next week, so we're going to go over this now. So we're just going to sort of look at the teams that have played, how they started, how they changed, how they have been getting on after the 6th week. So if we start off with Loopy with the Unseen.
Okay, so Unseen, starting 6 weeks of gameplay, very strong. Was unbeaten for, I'm pretty sure, 5 weeks. I think in game week 5 we beat them. Obviously, I played, which Jeffa wasn't playing and Ark played, but we 3-0 sweeped them. I'm pretty sure Unseen are going to make playoffs, and I think they have made playoffs.
They've clinched.
But yeah, they've clinched, and very good season they've had overall, to be honest. So I'm just gonna pass it over. I don't know what team's next. But pass over
Well,
to
Go through more of the story of
Yeah.
if you look through the past results, and if you just talk through each result
Right.
sort of, and give a
okay. Let me
roundup,
try and find the spreadsheet quickly. Yeah, that's my bad. Wait. Let me check.
and
No,
if
we
you
can
also
come
Okay,
back if you want.
Yeah. I'm just gonna check the previous results and then we'll be fine. So first game, it's loading up now. First game was game week 1. Unseen beat my team. Oh, yeah, my old team actually. 3-0. Which I wasn't very happy with. My mentals were down, but Unseen just had a lot of pressure, and it was like we couldn't actually defend. And then every time we shot, like Unseen just had the ball and like they were saving it, and like it was just unbelievable from Unseen, really. And then game week 2, Unseen won again, 3-1 against Miracle. I don't think I remember that game, but I'm sure Unseen did very good once again. Miracle are a very strong team as well, so it was quite close. And then game week 3, Unseen versus Lotus, 3-1. I don't think I saw that game either, but Unseen obviously just got win that game again, 3-1. Like Team Miracle versus Team Miracle. Yeah, probably strong again, consistent, and just like all around a good team for that match. And then game week 4 was 3-2 to Team. I think I remember seeing this. Unseen was very, very good. It was a very close match. I don't know how close the games were, but it was a close series overall. Probably a couple of goal differences, maybe. But and then it was 3-2, and then obviously recently, then obviously we beat them 3-0, and obviously they played our Arc instead of Jeffo, and they haven't really played with him before, so didn't have experience with him. And then I was playing 3 champs. The chemistry was very good. We were playing out very strong. It was overtime goals though. All the games were overtime, and it was quite close at times. The second overtime was 5 minutes, 4 minutes and 47 seconds. That's brain memory right there. And then I think the first overtime was just like a minute, and the third overtime was a kick-off goal save where it's going up the air and I scored. So and then game week 6. Wait, did I just say game week 6? No, I haven't. It's 3-1. Obviously, I'm Steve versus Phyllis 5. Yeah, and it's very good from Phyllis 5 again. I mean, not Phyllis 5, Unseen. So, pass it on to the next team or player. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, teammate.
Yeah, let's go for Reptic and let's tell the story of CK. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, CK is a very interesting match. Everyone predicted this team to come, top 3 or so. So for them to, I think the first, how many? Let me have a look. I think it was the first 3 weeks. Coming off a loss each and every week for the first 3 weeks is very hard for them. First week against Clinical Masterminds, 3-0 win to us. They did have to play a sub, but that's unfortunate to them. Next week, they go 3-2 loss against Ofioso. What I think most people predicted them to win, 3-1, 3-1, 3-0 fashion. It's not a good showing for them again. Solaris Esports beating CK Esports 3-1. It's another bad victory, another bad loss for them. Finally, they get their first win of the season. 3-0 versus Flame Esports. Great response from them. Flame Esports predicted to do quite well in the season as well. It's a good victory to CK. Then they get their second win. CK Esports versus Team Dynasty, winning in another 3-1 another 3-1 fashion. It's a great show from them. And then they go again in this week, winning against Broken Esports, the 3-0 fashion. So CK Esports has gone off starting as the season very slow, very sluggish. And then in the transfer week, they picked up 2 new players. and then haven't lost a series since. So yeah, story of CK.
Yeah, and I think with their form, I think that's only going to continue. They do have a very difficult matchup next week, which we'll talk about later. But let's move on to my favorite team, team, with Kyle taking it away for this one.
Well,
or not.
Sorry, I was muted. I was getting a can of juice out my. Forgot to unmute. But yeah, it's been a real up and down roller coaster season of Team. I think they're probably the most inconsistent team, with most games being 3-2s. I think it's only 2 games haven't been 3-2s, and that started off the first week where they lost 3-1 to Team Resurrection, having, talked the game beforehand. Dwarf and the boys, came in confident, but Resurrection with JW on the team at this point, really stepped up and shot team down. And then into the second week, team bounced back with another very tough game against Corinthians, where they managed to take it 3-2. In what was, an early matchup game of the season, having Corinthians beating Team Lotus, it made for a loss versus they were playing against a team that won the game week 1. And yeah, they managed to pull through it with a 3-2 win. And then they followed that up against Fearless 5, another 3-2 win, which I think they were expected to win a bit more comfortably, considering Fearless 5 had only picked up 1 game in the 2 defeats, but they managed to squeak through. And then they came up against the Unseen, which was, in my opinion, and is still the best game of the entire season. It was tight. It could have went either way on any day. But fortunately for myself, the Unseen managed to come out on top with a 3-2 win. And then on to game 5, this was a must-win sort of game, against a brand new rebuild. There was no transfers for team. They kept going strong with the same team, and into that game 5, they came up against Complex, and that was the new rebuilt Complex team, who have looked very scary, since they have came across it, and they just managed to squeak by 3-2. But I think a lot of these 3-2s have been costing them in game difference, at -3. So they really needed to win this week against Team Miracle. Unfortunately, they couldn't, and they couldn't keep it close either, where it was the second defeat that wasn't a 3-2, and that it was 3-0 to Team Miracle. But they're still not out of it. If they can win their last game against Team Lotus, they've definitely got a big chance to make it through, with Resurrection, Corinthians, and even, I think Miracle's out of reach. But yeah, Corinthians playing Team Miracle. That is, that's Team's hope. And that is the story of so far for Team. And we move on to the next team.
Right. Next one, let's go with Corinthians. There's a Ballbusters tag team on this one. I'll take this one away. And in pre-season, we had no idea who this team was. We didn't know any of the players, completely a new team. And I think a lot of people expected them to do poorly, because new teams typically do. They come in hot with a 3-0 in week 1 against Team Lotus, who had really good form coming in from last season. They had a really strong end to their season, so were expected to come in strong this season. However, they were playing Duffer, who had just been moved up from champ to GC. So with a slightly weaker GC on Team Lotus' side, and Corinthians being a sort of all-rounding team, were able to take advantage of that play style, took the game considerably easily, I'd say. And they end week 1 really well, as Kyle mentioned. Going into game week 2, obviously I won't repeat too much, but team versus Corinthians, obviously that was a good match for me. Corinthians played amazingly. I knew from this moment, even the week before, that this team was a team to be reckoned with. It was probable that they were going to make playoffs. So I think that game being that close showed, or sort of, I feel like it paved the way for the rest of the season for Bullbusters being as close as it is still. So Corinthians just losing on that one. I blame it on the timeout. I think we won because of the timeout. So yeah, that's unfortunate for them there. And then they lose again the next series in the same fashion to Resurrection. At this point, they still have for JWB is still on Resurrection. So this is an insanely strong Resurrection team, and Corinthians are still an incredibly solid team, but they don't have the pizzazz. They don't have the clutch factor that Resurrection did have. So just losing on that 3-2, now it's starting to look a little bit dangerous for them. And what won't help things is that in the next series, they lose 3-2 to Fearless 5, which is a game that they really should have won, in my opinion. They don't really change their playstyle. They play the same each week. It's up to their opponents to try and shake them about. Fearless 5 did that, and Tornado popped off this week from what I can remember. He really paved the way. He broke down the defense. He got those passes in. He got those goals in, being the mechanical mastermind behind all of it. And Corinthians now on the trot, 3 losses, all 3-2. They needed something at this point to change things. They needed a comeback story. And comeback they did against the Unseen, who were playing Arc, their sub-GC, still a very good player. But as it was mentioned before by Loopy, 3-0 for Corinthians. Now, each game was an overtime, so it was still an incredibly close series. But this is what they needed. It puts them in a decent position for playoffs. But going into game week 6, disaster. They lose 3-0 to Complex. Complex obviously looking extremely solid after the transfer window. With Stealthing coming in, incredibly solid player, doesn't make too many mistakes, and capitalizes on the opponent's mistakes. And that's exactly what happened. Corinthians showing way too many holes, messing up, double committing, all of this happening, and Complex with Stealthling charging forward, leading the way, take that series in a convincing fashion. And that is Corinthians all caught up with up until now. So if we take a step back and go have a look at Clinical's run, and Loopy will take that one away.
Okay, so clinical. Let me get the spreadsheet up again. That is my bad. Okay, so clinical versus
Clinical, just the whole story.
Okay, so obviously Clinical was a team last season, won BGCS with the around the same amount of players. Just got is it Trixer or Trixie? It's Trixie, yes, Trixie. They got Trixie in. Obviously keeping Reptic, Jonah and Brooksy. But they dropped Brooksy to a sub, and I'm pretty sure they put Trixie as
Pixar
a main.
as the champ
Trixar.
main. Yeah.
Okay, Trixar as a main, champ main. And the first game, they won 3-0 against CK. Haven't really watched that game, I'm pretty sure, or haven't remembered it. But CK didn't have a very good start. But Clinical did with 3-0, obviously starting the season strong. Just having confidence. And then game week 2, Clinical Mastermind again for another 3 sweep with Dynasty. Or Dynasty, my bad, Dynasty. Dynasty, obviously, we didn't expect that's a new team as well. New players, I think. Most of the players are new. And wasn't really much expected from Clinical. And Clinical 3-0 Dynasty again. And then after that, in game week 3, they faced. My phone is lagging. They faced. They won it again 3-0. Again, and 3-0 sweeps against Broken. Obviously, Broken's another new team as well. New players. I think some are not new. Some are from last season. Pardon me, my bad. And then other players coming just from joining that team. The strong game from Clinical. I don't really know much about the timeouts with Clinical. I'm pretty sure they did have timeouts though. Because obviously every team should have a timeout.
I'm
Because
not
it's
sure they
very
have
good for the
had
next
any,
team.
to be honest. They, I think
Any?
the only
They've not had
timeout
any?
they
No, we
had
did one.
was Flame, right?
No, against Interstellar.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, okay. One.
That's the only one I
timeout.
can remember.
Okay, and then game week 4, they lose 3-2 to Interstellar. Well, Interstellar also a new team, and Interstellar just shocked everyone. I'm pretty sure. A very, very good team. It was a close team between both the teams, but just Clinical couldn't really get the win, and Interstellar took the loss, which I think was their first loss of the game so far. And then as we go into game week 5, it was a win 3-2 against Flame. Well, obviously Flame again, another team. There's a lot of new teams in this conference, but Clinical 3-2 Flame, just strong again. Not really much to expect because of how confident and how good they've done from recent scores. And then looking at this week's was a 3-0 again against Officer. The game I just watched like an hour ago. So Clinical were just, really, really strong with attack. Have all of their players attacking. Not much on defense because we didn't have much shots against them. But when I did have that defense, they were solid. Just attacking was amazing. That they had all the space in the world really. And it was just a 3-0 to Clinical Muslims.
Yep, and that was the game that clunched them playoffs.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah, and we Brooks and Trixie have no stats because it was an FF game. If anyone's wondering.
Yeah, unfortunately, the one game that they both got to play was a forfeit.
But to be fair, I'm pretty sure Brooksy's going to be playing in the next game.
Yep,
so
he's playing against Sol.
Yeah, so we do get some Brooksy action, don't you worry. So we move on to, I'll actually go with Miracle on this one. I'll take this one away. So Miracle's a very interesting team because right at the start, it was just Hexos, Charlie, Gravsy as the main team, and this team was sort of expected. Majority of people put them like 7th, and they did sort of okay. In the first game, they won 3-0 versus Fearless 5. Although I think this was a weak Fearless 5, I think they were not playing how they have played, and Miracle took advantage. Not a particularly sort of. I don't believe this was a one-sided affair. I think this was just a steady breaking down of Fearless 5 and securing the win. And I think this is what Miracle wanted to do as a team. Unfortunately, they faced the Unseen in the next week. And that's always going to be a difficult one with Canacid coming in. It made it closer. They did take one game. I believe it was 4-1. To Miracle, so they did have a lot of life in this. They were able to score goals. I'm pretty sure every game there was at least one goal for Team Miracle. But the Unseen, they were just too good. On the day, they were just able to get things done. With Kyle and Panic allowing Jeffo to do Jeffo things, it's going to be hard to defend that. And especially when Knasig's new to Team Miracle, he doesn't know the players yet. He doesn't get the play style that he has to play. It's not going to end well. So they lose that one. And then in the next week, they play Hexos again against Complex. And Complex take it. So Miracle really not starting off well. Complex, at this point, Toxo's playing this match. And they're not having the best of luck themselves. So this is this really changed things up a little bit at the start of the season, made things a lot closer. I think already there were no teams on 0 points. So Miracle obviously losing that one, that's a really, really tough loss. Meant a lot and is going to mean a lot, potentially. Now going into the next week, we have Miracle 3-0 Resurrection. And this was a shock because JWB at this point for Resurrection didn't want to be on the team. At least that's what the rumors say. Going into the transfer week, the next week, knowing what happened, it's clear that this was always going to be a 3-0. Classic playing again. Resurrection not playing well as a team. You can see things breaking down. They're just not able to play any amount of defense, at least that can hold back an angry Knasig. So they win that one very easily, and I don't think Resurrection would even mind me saying that. So Miracle's starting to gain some sort of traction as we go into transfer week. We gain JWB onto Team Miracle from Resurrection, who they just 3-0'd. And Miracle 3-0 Team Lotus. So now they're really starting to gain some momentum on these 3-0s. And that match was also Duffer was playing for Team Lotus, so that made things worse. I don't think it would have made much of a difference if Eclipse was playing instead of Duffer. But Team Miracle, I remember it well, casting it and Kanasig going for this, that, whatever, freestyling, going for all these mechanics and just wanting to close it out in a 3-0 because he had to go, I'm pretty sure. At least that's what he said to me. So he really just decides the game. And that's what he did in the next week, which is a little sore for me still. 3-0 team, which yeah, that was a rough one. I had a game plan going into that, and obviously it didn't work. But I tried adapting, and that didn't work either. And at that point, I was like, mental's down, comms down. It's just do what I can. And I think I personally played well. Classic saved every one of my shots. Like top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. All of them were saved by Kanasig. And then he had the cheat to make me lose 50 MMR after, which is crazy. And that's not to take away from Charlie and JWB as well. They also held incredible pressure. I had to pre-jump JWB, I had to pre-jump Kanasig, and Charlie was just a menace. You know, coming with those demos, coming in with those insta challenges, just made it difficult for us to play. And yeah, they closed that one out easily. No game really being that close. So that's gonna be Miracle. Go back up to Reptic for Interstellar's journey.
Yeah, mate. Let me just get it on the screen. Interstellar, you know, brand new team, and I think they've surprised everyone. You know, I think they had 3. Let me just get it up.
I think KMW is the only returning player.
Yeah, he is.
Right, here we
on
go.
that.
They had the first week come out of a swing, beat Team Dynasty in a 3-0. Not a very close match at all, if I remember it rightly. Just complete domination. I think this was the week they proved it to everyone that they are going to be a strong team within the season. And they backed this up, beating Broken in a 3-0 as well. Not that close of a series, you know, 3-0 win. I can't remember the exact game scores, but I can't remember it being that close as well. Second week that they proved it to everyone. They're going to be a strong team this season. Next week again, beating Flame in another 3-0 victory, proving it yet again to everybody that they're going to be a strong team. And Flame is another strong team, so beating them in a 3-0 is it's quite surprising. I wouldn't have guessed it back then at least. Following that, they had their first win that was not a 3-0 against Clinical Masterminds, beating us in a 3-2 victory. Very close series. I don't think anyone really predicted it. I think, if I remember rightly, everyone predicted Clinical Masterminds to win this. So beating us, I think that really, really did prove to everybody that they're going to be a very, very strong team within the season. Then, in game week 5, they had another win that was not a 3-0, beating Ophiosa 3-1. Another great win, as Ophiosa are a very strong team. Following this, they had game week 6, where they had another 3-1 victory against Solaris Esports. And that they were pretty close matches as well, but Interstellar just able to get the win. And that's the story of Interstellar.
All right, and now let's go back over to the other conference with Team Lotus, and I'll take this one as we've got in week 1. I've already mentioned this one against Corinthians, where they lose 3-0. Duffer playing. It's a tough one, and with timeouts being new, people not really knowing how to use them, I don't believe they used one. And I can't help but think, if you've got that time, I think it's foolish not to use it no matter what. There is a reason why pro players and pro teams pretty much always use the timeout. There's only one exception I can think of, and that's NRG from like 2020. But now everyone uses it because it's so valuable. Of course, you need to know what to say, but Team Lotus, they couldn't get things going. they tried so much offense, they tried so much sort of creative shots, especially from Duffer coming off the ceiling, going for these backboard shots, these flick resets, not able to break past the Corinthians' defense. But in the next game, they do win 3-1 against Fearless 5. A somewhat expected result. I think Eclipse coming back in for this one. Fearless 5 playing Bale. I mean, this was mostly just Lotus bringing in a lot of shots. I remember them peppering Fearless 5's net with shots and just following up off each other after following up after each other. Their rotations were so solid. And Fearless 5 just double commit on everything, so left so many open spots for shots to come in. So many goals that just shouldn't have happened purely because of a comms issue on Fearless 5's end. But to Lotus's credit, they took advantage. They took the series, and they went back up to equal in series score. However, the next game, they play the Unseen. And of course, as the vast majority of teams will also share the story, they do lose 3-1. And from what I remember of this game, it was just a complete shutting down of any creative shots. There was just pre-jumps from Jeffo left, right, and centre. There was clutch defense from Panic, especially from what I remember. And Team Lotus, whilst they do get a game, and to take a game off the Unseen is always going to be good. But Team Lotus just weren't able to find their way through enough. Now going down 1-2 in series score, wins the losses, and the next week they win 3-0 against Complex. A Complex who at this point were pretty much disbanding. I remember it being a very stressful time for a lot of the mods trying to get new players in. Obviously we had the transfer window, so it was less stressful in that aspect. But Team Lotus, again, Eclipse playing, they just took advantage. I think Toxo was playing this one as well for Complex. So even the least amount of double commits on that team, Team Lotus, were going to take it, and they took it well. They had a great offense, and Complex didn't have anything, so they took it 3-0. In game week 5, it was Complex versus Team, as it was already mentioned before. I'm not going to go over it in a huge amount. Just also mentioned that it was a reverse sweep. I wasn't playing, of course. How dare I win anything ever? But yeah, Complex looked super solid in the first 2 games. But then Team changed. I said words.
You're on Team Lotus, not Team Complex.
That's correct. I am so stupid. Yeah, so Team. I even mentioned this one: Team Miracle versus Team Lotus. Yeah, there's not much to say. They just sort of they weren't able to do anything, is how I'd sum it up. They just were not allowed to do anything. Just coming out of the pure pressure play that Team Miracle had been building up at that point, they couldn't get out of the defense, and when they did, their shots were meager. So yeah, that's game week 5 for Team Lotus, and actually they haven't played in game week 6 so far, as their match is in 11 minutes time against Resurrection. This is a fairly vital match for both teams. If Resurrection win, then they've got a very good chance of making playoffs. If Team Lotus win, they also need to win another and hope for some other results as well. So it's a must-win for both those teams. So make sure to have 2 monitors up, 2 tabs up for either match and the stream, the podcast. So yeah, that's going to be Team Lotus summed up. If we go back up to Complex, sorry, Kyle, I stole one of your matches, but it's fine.
That's all right. You helped me with a bit of information on a game that I didn't really know. But yeah, we move on to the run of Complex, and what a run it has been. It's a tale of two teams, essentially, this. So in team week, in week 1, we start off, they play the Unseen. Not the easiest starting game in the Unseen, as we know. And we've already spoke about won that 3-0. I remember that game, we just didn't give them any time. We held all the pressure. And yeah, they just couldn't live with us. On to week 2, they played another very strong team at the time, Resurrection, and it was very much a similar story. They just couldn't handle the pressure. JW was having his way upfield, just being able to stay upfield, taking passes here, there, and everywhere. And then on to week 3, Complex. They come out and they beat Team Miracle, which is a very good win for them. It sort of gave them a bit of life. And yeah, they played really well. Yeah, Miracle didn't have Kanasig playing, which could have been and I'm sure would have been a much different game. No disrespect to Hexos. But yeah, Complex took it 3-1 and things were on the turn. And then they go into a game against Team Lotus just before transfer week. And yeah, this was, I think, the key game for Complex's season. If they won that game, they would have been right in the hunt, especially with the transfers that were coming in for them. But they went down 3-0 to Team Lotus. And then the transfer happened. A lot of players left. And it became a brand new team, and that's the team that you can see on screen at the moment. And they go in to game week 5, and unfortunately, they go down 3-2 to Team in what was a very close fought game. And you already heard what Dwarf had to say about it, so I won't speak too much. And then into this week, they bounce right back with a surprising, commanding 3-0 win over Corinthians. And as I say, I think it was just that game against Team Lotus. If they had won that game, things could have been different. But unfortunately, they're not in the running to make playoffs. But they can definitely, and the last game doesn't really mean anything. So yeah, it's not been the best of season for Complex. But if they come back as this team for season 4, they could put in a strong showing. And that is the story of Complex.
All right. And also to add on to that, I'm pretty sure Tox has already said that he wants to team up with Stealthing again. So it's up to who they get as champs, obviously. But Stealthing touted to be a player in season 4 already. So now let's move on to a Ball Thrusters one because we've got quite a few to get through there. Let's go over to Broken Esports. And starting off in week 1, they lose 3-0 against Flame Esports. And at this point, Flame were looking like the team that we were expecting them to. They commanded this win. Broken Esports had so many holes. They just weren't able to piece many plays together. So with that win, they with that loss, they just weren't getting off to a good start, and it doesn't get any better as they play Interstellar Esports. As we know now, they are undefeated after 6 series. So this 3-0 for Interstellar is not a surprise whatsoever. And now going 0-2, Broken Esports go into game week 3 as they play against Clinical Masterminds. As we know now, the team that is going undefeated apart from when they played Interstellar, where they lost 3-2, which again was a 3-0 for Clinical against Broken Esports, which that's such a tough way to start a season, going 0-3 for 3 weeks in a row. And it still doesn't get better. Offios Esports win 3-0 against them. It's at this point where they realise changes need to be made. We had quite a few people leave and quite a few people coming in. And it's such a shame it didn't work out because I believed in this team, especially CMAT. He put up a great performance in so many of his matches, but it just didn't matter. The teams always overpowered them. Going into game weeks 5, we have Broken Esports' first game win, not match win, as they lose 1-3 against Solaris. Solaris, obviously at this point, looking very solid. They are the sort of gatekeeper of playoffs at this point, in my eyes. And Broken Esports, obviously getting their first win is huge. But it's still not a win. And at this point, they are confirmed to be out. I'm pretty sure they were anyway after game week 4. But even more so now. They've got 1 win. And in game week 6, they lose 3-0 against CK Esports, which is also really rough. I think this is a CK that, with Rex and Feelings, is looking very, very good. A team that is maybe looking to break into the playoff spot, but we'll talk about that a bit later, maybe. So yeah, that's Broken pretty much summed up. We maybe now head over to another team in the Thrusters conference as we go over to Solaris. Now, this team is very interesting to me. They, as I said before, gatekeeper of playoffs. If you beat this team, you're likely to make playoffs. If you don't, you're not. So in the first week, Officer do win 3-1 against Solaris. That's with RBZ playing, not Nextfox, who we were expecting to play. This was a week that Solaris don't want to remember. They weren't gelling at all, and Officer looked not particularly good, but good enough. And that's how I think this season has summed them up. So they take that 3-1, and then the next week we've got an insanely close match. Officer win 3-2 against CK Esports. And again, RBZ's playing this one. They're looking like a well-formed team that have got decent chemistry. They're able to make passing plays, and CK Esports, I think at this point, this is their most likely win that they could have taken in the first 4 weeks. Other than the one that they obviously got against Flame. I mean, Officer, I think they were just good. And that's such a broad thing to say. But when you're consistently that level, it's hard to break that down. So if we go into game week 3, we've got Officer winning 3-0 against Team Dynasty, which is becoming apparent that Team Dynasty are one of the weaker teams in the Wolf Thrusters conference. So taking this 3-0 is not a surprise if you're looking to make playoffs. Game week 4, we've got another 3-0 against the other team that hasn't won yet, which is Broken Esports. Once again, it's pretty much the same point that I made for game week 3. Is the team that you want to win against 3-0 to help with your goal, your game difference. Sorry. Yeah. So game week 5, we have Officer losing to Interstellar. once again, not too much of a surprise. Interstellar looking like the best team in this conference, consistently wise anyway. Obviously, not able to bring as much offense as they maybe should have, perhaps consistently performing. I think his goal difference is through the roof. So yeah, Obvious are falling there. And falling again against Clinical Masterminds. 3-0 to Clinical, by the way, which is a bit of a yikes, as you might say. Not able to find anything in this one. Just completely shut out. That's going to be Obvious summed up as well. I've done it again, haven't I?
Wait, did I have the wrong team on the screen that whole time?
Yeah, no. I think Dwarf switched that just right at the end. It was the last one I think you went in,
Yeah.
or the last
So that
game
was,
5 you went in.
yeah, it's 5. Yeah. I don't know why my brain does that, by the way. That's
All good,
weird.
mate, all
It's
good.
been a long day, mate. It's all good. You've
It's
been a
been
long
a
day.
really long day.
You've been at work. It's all good, mate.
Yeah.
Just
Bear
keep
with me,
going.
chat and YouTube comments. I'm frazzled. So yeah, just to go back over Solaris, 3-1 against Broken Esports, team you want to beat, obviously. They do lose a game here. Broken Esports getting their first game win, but still losing the match overall. And Solaris losing 3-1 to Interstellar, taking a game. Obviously not enough though. So yeah, that's going to be them, and a little bit of Obvious here as well. So if Kyle, do you want to take Obvious as things I started off or ended it off rather?
Yeah, we can do it. Ofiesa Esports, a team that was really hyped up at the beginning. Next, it is Next Fox that plays for them, isn't it? Yeah. Next Fox, really a strong player, and a lot of hype was around him, and then they came out and they did come out firing, beating Solaris 3-1, getting off to a really good start, and then following that up with a 3-2 win against CK Esports, which, is CK were predicted to be one of the better up teams. So it was looking good for them then, and then a bit of the downhill came. And no, actually, I lie. They went on a 3-game win streak. They beat Team Dynasty 3-0. And then this is when it started to fall down in game week 4. Actually, I lie. They won 4. Am I tripping? I swear they didn't win 4 out of 4. But they did. And they beat Broken Esports 3-0. And they go 4-4. Actually, that doesn't make sense. The spreadsheet.
I'm pretty sure in the first week, Obvious actually lost because I'm pretty sure Next Fox was playing.
Yeah, it's just somebody's put it in wrong against Solaris, like in the actual schedule. It's the same thing that happened. I'll go through it. It's the same thing that happened earlier on, where the league table and the bit where the league table is right. It's just the schedule bit on the spreadsheet that's been filled in.
They lost against Solaris 3-1.
Yeah. So everything's right. It's just the actual somebody's filled in the schedule bit
I'll
wrong.
sort it out now.
So yeah, they did lose against Solaris, and then they came back winning 3 out of 3, which is where they find themselves. The last game week 5 and game week 6, they have failed to win. They go down 3-0 to Clinical Mastermind in game 6, and they go down to Interstellar, which is arguably it is the 2 hardest games, but they're still in there with contention to get through. All that stands in their way is Flame Esports, who are down and out. It really is. They beat Flame, and if Interstellar beat CK, they can go through. But that is the story, the slightly scuffed story, of Ofiesa, sorry.
So with now just 3 teams left, let's go over to Team Dynasty. And don't worry, I got this one. I probably won't mess it up, and that's a big probably.
I'll keep you right.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I'm sure I'll be fact checked. So game week 1, they play Interstellar, arguably at this point the worst team against the best team. It's gonna be a 3-0 to Interstellar, isn't it? I don't think that's too much of a fuss there. And going into game week 2, they play arguably, definitely the second best team in the conference, Clinical Masterminds, which they also lose 3-0. And there's going to be a bit of a trend here. As in the next week, they lose 3-0 against Offiesa. There's not too much I can say about any of these. It's just going to be rehashing the same thing. They just aren't strong enough. They were not able to perform with the team that they had.
And I believe this is where the whole of Team Dynasty left, and this new team came in.
Yes, yeah.
From game week 4, this was the team that started.
Yeah, because it was Azza, Kieran, and I've forgotten the third.
Alex, I think it was.
Alex, yeah. That came in to replace the team that had left. But it didn't change a thing. They lost 3-0 against Solaris, which is tough because this team had potential. They just didn't have any time together, so they weren't able to have the 3 weeks before them to build up that trust, that play style together. Moving into game week 5, they lose 3-1 to CK Esports. I remember this match. They took the first game quite convincingly. I think it was like a 3-1. They were just all over CK, and then suddenly CK activated, and they just ran through Dynasty, and it wasn't close. It was consistent. It was just a consistent pressure from them. Team Dynasty, I think, scored in every match, but maybe other than one. But yeah, they just weren't able to take it in that one. Getting their first game win though, not the whole match, of course, but yeah. And then we've got Team Dynasty actually 3-0, I believe, Flame Esports in this last week.
Tonight.
Yeah, at
Tonight?
7 p.m. today. Which is the biggest surprise I think we've had, full stop. There were very few other series that have made me think, what happened? What happened? I was watching it, but I still don't know what was happening.
I think the only one that rivals it is obviously Corinthians 3-1 Unseen, but out of context.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, then again, Flame Esports was playing with an FA.
Yeah, 2 FAs.
2 FAs even, yeah. So you can't really blame them for not playing the way that they have played. Minty obviously being on Flame himself, having 2 champ FAs who you don't know how they play, what their skill sets are, what they will go for, what they won't go for, etc. It's going to make it difficult. And I think Aaron especially came into his own in this match. He was always pressurizing. He was always getting the ball to his teammates. All of that good stuff. And Dynasty take their first game win, game week 6, just a little bit too late. But they do get that win anyway, spoiling Flame's chances. And talking about Flame, we may as well move on to them. I'd appreciate Cloud or Reptic taking this one, whoever.
I'll take this one unless you want to, Reptic. I do just want to say Team Lotus have just went 1-0 up against Team Resurrection, winning the game 4-1.
And make sure to watch that on BGCS _EU2 if you want to watch that.
So what team was I was doing again, sorry?
Flame.
Flame. So yeah, the story of Flame, it's been another sort of up and down. They came out against Broken Esports, who I would say is probably arguably the worst team. You know, no offense to them. Well, they are the worst team. They're the only team without any points as it stands. And Flame, yeah, expectedly took it 3-0. You know, I think Flame have been struggling for getting players to play. I think they've had to rely on a lot of free agents throughout the season. You know, just their champs just aren't really showing up or can't play. I don't know what's going on. But they start off strong with a 3-0 win, and then they go out in a very close game against Solaris 3-2. And what was a very close match. I remember watching it, and it could have went either way. It was very similar to the team unseen game, and then they go on against the best team in the league. They go down 3-0, which is really no surprise there. Then they step back and bounce back playing against Team Dynasty. They get that 3-0 win, and then they play against Clinical in game week 5, and they go down another very tight game, 3-2. You know, so they are showing somewhat that they can hang with the better teams in the league, but they're just not quite there yet. And then in week 6, we've seen them, you know, 2 free agents. They go down 3-0 to Team Dynasty, where, Aaron was just he gave them no time. He gave Minty no time to get anything going. And yeah, that is the story of Flame. And unfortunately, their story runs out there. They've still got a game to play, but all they can do is spoil Orpheus's chances.
I've just realised I've missed one, but it's fine. We've got two teams left. They're both in the Ballbusters Conference. And let's go over to Fearless 5. And this is one of the more interesting teams for me. I feel coming in from the end of last season, starting to pick up the pace a little bit. Tornado being a returning player, he's played in all 3 seasons. I'm not sure about season 0, but yeah, this is a player that we know. Having Rex as the sub GC as well, but even then, in the first week, they leaves 0-3 against Team Miracle, who at this point didn't have Kanasic. This was Hexos playing, and yeah, I mean, they looked very disjointed. I think they have done. They have looked disjointed ever since week 1 up until week 4. It only started to turn around after week 5. So yeah, they just had so many holes. They double committed, they over committed, all of that usual stuff that makes a team lose. And Team Miracle, obviously being a little bit more solid than them, having nicer rotations, were able to take it. Fearless 5 losing again against Team Lotus. This was a bit more sort of, this could have gone either way in my eyes. I think Team Lotus, especially with Eclipse, do look better overall. But Eclipse doesn't play the game nearly as much as... Well, I'm not even sure how much Tornado plays the game, to be honest. I don't think either GC play the game that much. So I think it really came down to the consistency level. And Tornado, I don't think, played that well that series. And whilst they were able to take a game, they weren't able to perform any better. And in the next game, we have Team winning against Fearless 5 at 3-2. It's already been mentioned, this match, but Fearless 5 looked very good. They were able to chain together attacks extremely well. It was just they were weak to counter attacks, and I think especially Serenity stepped up. He was able to take the ball out of defense and air dribble it, go for a backboard shot, whatever. He was the player that we needed. I think if I played that, I think we had a decent chance of losing, to be honest. Because I think that was a Fearless 5 that was peaking. but yeah, they weren't able to close it out. We do get the win after a timeout. Moving into game week 4, they win 3-2 against Corinthians, which is a bit of an upset, to be honest, at this point. Corinthians starting to make a name for themselves, being one of the mainstays. I think them getting that win for Fearless showed some life. I think it really sort of, even though it was a 3-2, it meant that they were in charge of how they were playing. And from what I remember from that series, it was just Corinthians were not challenging enough. They were just playing quite passively and hoping for a mistake, and it just didn't really happen. Fearless 5 coming out with so much offense, and Corinthians not able to withstand. Going into Game Week 5 after the transfer window, quite a few things changed. Wrexham Weekend left. Jörg, whoever, joined as the sub GC. We also have Daimo, SWAT Sergeant, and Reset New Account as part of this team. Jörg and Reset New Account need to play the last game, otherwise they're already not making playoffs, but if they were in that position, then they wouldn't be making it. So game week 5, they lose 3-1 to Resurrection, who had just lost a fairly valuable asset in JWB. I can't help but feel like Fearless 5 upgraded, Fearless Resurrection slightly downgraded. I feel like that's a series, especially after winning against Corinthians, that you've got to win to be in charge of your playoff chances. But they don't, and at this point, it's looking like they're not going to make it. And even more so, they have to play the Unseen against next week, and they lose 1-3. They did well to take a game. I think it was fairly convincing afterwards. For the Unseen, just weren't able to carry on the momentum after game 1. Yeah, it's sad, but Fearless 5, that's their journey up until now, and they will not be making playoffs, which is sad, but it's got to happen. Now, for the last team, we have Resurrection, and if Kyle, Reptic, whoever wants
I'll
to take
take it.
can
Give me
take
a
it.
second.
Just a wee update, it is 1-1 Team Resurrection, and notice Resurrection took game 2 in a 2-1 tight affair, and they're just playing game 3 now.
Nice. So, Resurrection, coming into the season, same org name as last season. They were in here as well. Different players, I believe.
No, I think it was the same players, take away Christian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
same
Replace
players as
Brian
well.
with Christian.
But yeah, coming into the season, starting off well. Beating Team in a 3-1 victory. All matches were close, but they were able to get the win in that match. But then, they get into game week 2. Whether they won this as well, someone screwed the colours up. My eyes died. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. They won 3-0 in week 2 again as well, against Complex. I don't think this was that close of a match. I can't remember exactly, if I'm going to be honest, but with a 3-0 victory, I'm going to imagine it wasn't too close.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
It was a one.
Here we go. Game week 3. They do lose 2-3 to Corinthians. All matches were close. I remember watching this series. Very back and forward. But Corinthians just able to get the victory in this one. Resurrection then. After that loss, they're trying to get the win in the next week, but nope. They play Team Miracle and lose 3-0. A sweep to Team Miracle. Resurrections that are now 2-2 in the season. So now they need to win their next one to bring it back up to, better win rate. So they do that exactly. They beat Fearless 5 in a 3-1 victory. Fearless 5 looked like they had some life in this. I believe they won the first match, but as soon as Resurrection got warmed up, it's pretty much a domination. And then following that, the match is on now, so it's 1-1, I believe, or whatever Carl just said.
Yeah, it's 1-1, and they're 1-0 up in game 3.
So, yeah, so they're doing decent, I guess. But yeah, that's Resurrection.
All right, that's going to close us out for this section, catching us up on the entire season, telling the story of all of the teams. I'm glad it's over.
I'm knackered from that.
When I did see it, I thought this is going to be long. 16 teams to get through is going to be long.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But it was enjoyable. You know,
Well, yeah, it's nice to go back and have a look at the games. To be honest, it's reliving what happened, and now moving on to the exact opposite of what we just did is looking forward at the next week, the last week, arguably the most important week out of all of them for at least half of the teams. We're doing predictions, and we've got some of the matchups on screen.
Yeah,
We've
it
got Resurrection.
doesn't fit perfectly, but it'll do.
Yeah, it doesn't fit perfectly, but you can see the logos. We get the idea. If first, Loopy, do you want to take us through the Ballbusters, your predictions, see what you're saying?
yeah, just
Yeah,
do
sure.
every game.
For the first game, I'm saying 3-1 Unseen. Even if they've clinched playoffs, I really want Unseen to win because it's helpful for Corinthians and all the other teams, really. So, yeah, that's what I think Unseen would do. Unless they play Arc, it'll be a lot closer. But if they play Jeffo, then I see Unseen like just coming out on top and like just dominating them. To be honest, and then game 2, team versus Lotus. I say 3-2 team. I feel like Lotus will come out strong, get 2 games, and then I actually think team will get a reverse sweep. I think they've already had one, haven't they? I think they'll get another one.
That's against Complex.
Yeah, I think that if Dwarf, your coaching mate, and you do very good with your words again, then I feel like if they're losing, I feel like you're reverse sweep and they'll win 3-2.
Dwarf, do we know who's playing this?
Yeah, I'm going to be playing this one, so easy loss for us.
Never mind. Then you lost. No, I'm joking. Yeah, and then next match, F5 versus Complex. Okay, this is a tough one because both teams have new players and stuff. I'm gonna say 3-2 Complex. I just think Complex will win it in game 5, just with the pressure, and I feel like F5 won't able to deal with the pressure. I just feel like they'll just come out on top and just like dominate the last game. It will be like 1 goal difference though. And then game week, and then the last obviously game for Ballbusters is Corinthians versus Miracle. I'm gonna be biased here. I'm gonna go 3-0 Corinthians. Easy win for us. No, I'm joking.
I rate it. Stick with it.
Yeah. It's your team, man. Say it with chest.
Yeah.
I feel like I will come out on top and I will peak on my old teammates, I guess, because I was going to join there, but
he's going to win it
and I
himself.
feel like,
Yeah, 3-1.
Yeah, I'm going to peak. Just trust me. I feel like I'm going to be, hitting more of them clips, But I feel like my teammates will do, a lot good with the, like team plays and stuff. I think we might be getting nothing sub, but I'm not 100% sure yet. And then, not then. And I think Miracle, even if they're playing Canasic, we just got to shut down Canasic, and then I can, I was saying this earlier with Gravesy and Charlie. I think I can 2v1, them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm or not. Yeah, but what's it called? Like, I feel like if one of my teammates like demo like Gravesy or Charlie, I feel like I can 1v1 him. Maybe not Charlie, because Charlie's a very good player at once, and he knows what he's doing. But Gravesy knows what he's doing also. So it's like really down to a team, not individual player people. So that's my
moral of the story:
prediction.
Loopy's gonna win in a 3v1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm
you
hearing
trust
But
here.
as I said, I think you're wishful thinking because I think it will be JW with the nature of how important. Well, it's not really that important.
It's not that
Well,
important for them.
it is important that Miracle still want to get the win to take
Sure.
it into their own hands.
Yeah.
I think they're going to. Oh, it is Gravesy. Well, I'll take it back. I thought it would be JW. But anyway,
Yeah.
Do you want me
say
to
it
go?
was Chet.
Yeah, Reptic, you take your predictions away.
All right, mate. So Unseen versus Resurrection. Realistically, I think this is going to be 3-0 to Unseen. Resurrection looking decent, but Unseen just on the level above. I don't think the match is going to be that close. I think if Resurrection, absolutely peak and Unseen play terribly, I think they might be able to take a game or so. But I think Unseen take this 3-0 if they're both teams are playing normal, if you want to say that. Team Lotus. I think this is going to be I actually think it's going to be quite a close match. I can really see this going either way. And you know what? I'm going to say Lotus 3-2 versus Team. As I said, I can see it going either way, but I have to go one side. So Lotus win this 3-2. Fearless 5 Complex. Stealthland's the GOAT, so 3-1 Complex. Fearless 5, they're decent, but they just haven't really been showing the results this whole season. So, and Stealthland's a GOAT, as I said, so 3-1 to Complex. Team Miracle versus Corinthians, just for Loopy's sake, I'll say 3-2 to Corinthians.
Well, thank you very much.
No worries, mate.
I'll go through mine actually. I'll go through mine, and I'll leave Kyle to do his last. Resurrection Unseen. Now, to be serious or not, things we're not keeping track. How about we go for Resurrection 3-0? It's not good for me, but let's go Resurrection 3-0. Team versus Lotus. Now, obviously, because I'm on the team, it's going to be a 3-2, and it's going to go to me because I'm going to make playoffs. Because that's what that game means. And for Complex versus Fearless 5, let's go 3-0 to Complex. Like I said, like Reptic said, actually, Stealth and Goat. And Miracle Corinthians, totally not biased at all, and totally not based off of last week, but Corinthians 3-0.
That would put your predictions.
Dwarf, I love you.
Actually, your predictions would put you out. By the way.
Yeah, I do not care.
Oh, fair enough.
I would
Fair
be
enough.
happy for being
You're
out
trying
if
to
that happened.
trying to reverse jinx yourself.
Don't let them know.
But yeah, I will move on to my predictions. I think, I think we will win against Resurrection 3-0. I think we are very motivated to win every game together. Myself, Jeffo, and Panic. We did lose that game, but it was with Arc. But we are confident when us three are playing together that there's no team that can beat us. We are very confident. So I'm going for a 3-0 to us. And I don't normally have ego, but I'm having ego on this day. The second game, Team versus Team Lotus. Well, from what I'm seeing just now, Lotus look to be playing very well, as do Resurrection. It is currently 2-1 to Resurrection, and Lotus are winning 3-2 in Game 4. But I think Team are just that bit too strong. I'm going to go 3-2 to Team. I think Team will take the usual 3-2 win that they get. And then on to the next game. Yeah, it's already been said. Stealthland GOAT. If they had Stealthland prior to game week 4, I think Complex are right in the mix. But as it's, he came in a bit too late. but they win 3-0 and end their season very strong. And in the last game, I think, Corinthians just miracle. I think even if it is Gravesy playing over JWBS, no offense, I'm a big fan of Gravesy, but JW is just different class. I think I think Miracle win that 3-0 quite comfortably. No disrespect to Corinthians and Loopy. I rate this team Miracle side. I think they're very, very good side. I've always rated them at the beginning. I put them in second at the beginning.
Yeah, you was doing that earlier.
I've always rated them, and that's my Ballbusters prediction for game week 7.
All right, and let's go over to Wall Thrusters. Just as I think Reptic was about to say.
Yeah, mate.
Let's start with Loopy again.
We can feel your pain, Dwarf.
Okay, so first matchup, Flame versus Orpheus. Flame can't make playoffs anymore, but I still think Flame might win. I'm saying Flame 3-2. I feel like if they have the original team back, I feel like they will come out very strong. Even if they can't make playoffs, they'll come out strong and they will win that game, I think. And then second game, Dynasty versus Broken. Oh, this is a really tough. I'm saying 3-2 Broken. Obviously, Sharky's my man, If he's playing, that is. But Sharky's my man, and obviously I've known him not for long, but I used to play with him a lot. And I feel like Broken, as soon as he came back, he was, they were playing very good. I don't know who they took a game against, but they took a game against a team. I don't really remember though. And then, I feel like they'll win that. And then, Clinical versus Soloist. I'm saying, okay, I want Clinical to win. So I'm going to say 3-0 Clinical. I want Clinical to win, and obviously they're a very, very strong team. So I'm just gonna, hope for the best. You know what I mean. And then last game, CK versus is that Interstellar? Okay, I'm not really paying attention to Wolf Busters, and I don't know who I want to win, but I'm gonna say 3-2 Interstellar. I like the new signings of Rex in the weekend, but I just don't think it's gonna be strong enough for Interstellar. Because I think they've played with each other a long time. And then I just think, Interstellar will come and win.
Fair enough.
So that's my predictions.
Cole?
No, you, Reptic. You were next.
Oh, all right, okay. So the first match is difficult. I really do think this can go either way. You know what? I'll just go Ufiosa 3-2. No real reason. I just really don't know. So we'll go with Ufiosa. Next matchup is Team Dynasty versus Broken. If Broken win this, no team has not lost. Oh my god, I can't speak, man. If Broken win, every team's at least had one win. So we'll go Broken 3-2.
Not the only one.
Huh?
His brain isn't working.
For Clinical Soul, Soul Frio, Deco offered to pay me. So I had to take his offer up. So
not allowed to take bribes.
So Lotus Frio. CK versus Interstellar. You know what? I think Interstellar. Nah, you know what? CK win this. I believe. CK 3-2. CK 3-2. Yep.
Huge.
And Resurrection have just won the other match, by the way.
Yeah, they won 3-1.
Lotus for the last match. So.
Yeah. So first of all, that's huge for Resurrection if they win the next game, which against the Unseen is unlikely, but either way, it puts them in a strong standing for making playoffs. But for my predictions, Flame versus Orpheus, I think this is fairly clear. Assuming RBZ's playing, this has got to be an Orpheus 3-1. I just don't think Flame especially just after not being able to make it, are going to be disheartened. They're not going to maybe have the motivation to play, scrim, all of that. Whereas Orpheus are fighting for that playoff spot. Now, Dynasty versus Broken. From what I saw from both these teams in Game Week 6, I think I've got to give it to Dynasty. I think it's got to be a 3-2 to Dynasty. I think Aaron's looked incredible. And we never know what team's showing up for Broken. So I think the fact that Aaron is likely to be there is always going to be a good sign for them. So yeah, that's my prediction for that one. Now, Clinical versus Solaris. Yeah, this is a 3-1 to Clinical. I think Solaris might take a game somewhere, maybe after a timeout, maybe game 1. But yeah, Clinical's going to take this one fairly handily. Now we've got CK versus Interstellar. I want the storyline, so I'm gonna say CK 3-0. I want the storyline to happen. So CK better perform. Rex, I believe in you. Feelings, I believe in you. And whoever you play as your third, I believe in you. Killian. I think they could do it, to be fair, but either way, that is gonna be Kyle's turn now.
Yeah, and we go Flame versus Orpheus. I think is I think Orpheus will win that. I think Flame will be disheartened with that loss tonight. And yeah, I think Orpheus will capitalise on that and take the win. I think they'll get 3-1. I think Flame, if they bring out their strongest team, I think they can get a game. But if it's free agents again, I think it'll be a struggle. But yeah, I'm going to go 3-0 to Orpheus. Then the match that doesn't really matter, the Dynasty versus Broken, I have to agree with Dwarf. I think from what Aaron showed today, if he can bring that level of aggression again, I think Dynasty will beat Broken. But it all depends on what Broken side show up. We don't know what team is going to come out for them. On to Clinical Masterminds versus Solaris. I think Clinical have got to take that. I think they'll take that 3-0. I think that'll be comfortable for Clinical, especially with Brooksy playing. I think Solaris will find it hard to break them down. And then CK versus Interstellar. I'm going to back CK here. I want them to win. Interstellar have nothing to play for. I think they win 3-2. I'm going to back CK and give it a 3-2 win to CK. And that wraps up next week's games.
Yeah, that's all the predictions done, and now on to everyone's favourite part of the podcast. It's Team of the Week. Time to boost 3 players' egos.
There's not really like a graphic for this, so
no.
I just put the octane on the screen.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Is there anyone that would like to take us away? I do have mine, but I don't know whether anyone wants to go through theirs.
On you go, Dwarf, and then we can take it over.
Right. So I'll start off with my GC, which was actually very difficult to pick. I didn't have there was no GC that really stood out to me. If I'm honest. Yeah, I do think I'm gonna have to give it to Stealthling. Though against Corinthians, I think he was the reason why they won that so convincingly. So I'm gonna have to give that to him for the GC spot. And for the champs, this was a little bit easier for me. One of the spots that I'm gonna give to Jonah because he was incredible. I don't think anyone will really sort of disagree with me. And I'd also like to give a spot to Weekend. Because I think he's just consistently played really well. And I don't think he's been given enough credit for what he does. So yeah, that's my team of the week. If there's anyone else who's got theirs ready, wants to take over.
If you want to go up,
I'll go
Loopy.
through.
Yep, on you go. You get yours, Loopy.
My GC is Jeffo. I mean, you can't really stop him, Like when he goes in the air, it's kind of hard to stop. When he costed that match, like the team plays he was hitting, and like the passes he was hitting was just unbelievable. So I think Jeffo is my GC. And then my first champ is Kyle. Kyle was hitting a lot of team plays as well. Like that played that one shot where. No, man, no, I didn't pick the whole one team. Trust me. Carl was just like hitting the perfect place shots. That bottom corner shot you hit. I don't know. I remember it, but it was a very, very good team play as well. Defense and offense from you. And then my last champ is Jonah. Jonah was, even if they 3-0'd and, he was just like really mechanical, doing a lot and like shooting, It's very good, mechanical and offense wise. So that's my team of the week. So Carl, you wanna go? Or
Yeah, I'll go up. Well, for my my GC, I'm going to give it to Reptic, or as he's known on the spreadsheet, Washstick. Yeah, 6 goals, 2 assists, and 11 saves. Jonah done very well, played well, but yeah, I think Reptic really stepped up. He's been playing in a new role in this new CK team as more of a defensive person, but he came out and really showed an all-round performance this week. So I'm going to give it to Reptic. I'm going to go big-headed and pick myself. I feel I played very well this week. I hit some crazy shots. That one that I put into the bottom corner from Jeffo passing it to me, how I've squeezed it through everybody and put it in the only place it could be scored. Yeah, I put up, 3 goals, 3 assists, 5 saves. I'm very happy with that. So I'm going to go a bit big-headed this week, and then I'm going to give it to Weekend as well. I think I fully agree with Dwarf that Weekend doesn't get credit. The numbers that he puts up week in, week out for a champ, and just what he does for the team is phenomenal. And yeah, if CK had Weekend and Rex prior to game week 5, I think it would have been different. But that is my team of the week.
Man, I'm really struggling for the GC. I'll do
All
this.
of these are going to come down to votes, by the way, other than maybe Weekend.
Yeah. Right, I'll start off with the champ because I know the champ I'm gonna pick. First one was Jonah. I think he had an unbelievable series this week. I think he kind of surprised everyone, including himself. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jonah for the first champ. I've really come unprepared to this part of it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
No worries. Oh man,
You were not prepared.
I mean, I wasn't, and I'm not gonna lie to you. A Weekend, yeah. I'll go Weekend. He played very well this week as well. Showing everyone what he can do. And I'll go with the Stealth. He's played this week, right?
Yeah, that should work.
Yeah, Stealthland. He played unbelievable as well.
So you could pick my team. Nice one. So we've actually had a bit of a interjection here from the one and only Brooksy Gaming, who's coming just for Team of the Week, because we didn't need him for the rest, and he was also casting the Lotus Resurrection with Aspect. So welcome in, Brooksy. How are you doing?
Hello,
I get your Team of the Week.
yeah, I'm good. I was prepared for this. My GC changed though after obviously you guys haven't watched the game that's just happened, Resurrection Lotus. Lewis absolutely popped off in that game. Changed the game for Resurrection. So for the GC wise, for me, it'd be Lewis, and then the two champs would be Jonah and Weekend. They played absolutely unbelievable in their games. Stood out, compared to everybody else.
Okay, so with that, we've got a majority vote for the two champs, but I'm gonna say let's put it down to a vote for the GCs. So we've got Jonah and Weekend with a majority vote for
Three
the
each.
champs. Sorry, what?
3 each.
Yeah, 3 each.
Four.
Yeah, 3 each, and then 2.
Yeah, 3 each.
Yeah.
The Jonah Weekend, yeah?
Jonah Weekend for the champs.
Yeah.
And for the GCs, we've got 2 votes for Stealthling, because Reptic's a copycat.
I have to change mine late minute because I didn't want to bring, but because Brooks is coming in, I was watching the game and Lewis played insane. Lewis played crazy, and like I know you didn't get to see it or didn't see much of it, but I pretty much watched the whole game, and he was insane. I think Lewis really does deserve it.
Okay.
If you could have seen what he was doing and the stuff he was doing, you would also pick him. Like that's how good he played.
How about we put it to a poll, and if possible, we can make it so that people can't use points to vote.
Yeah. That's just fair.
Want me to do it?
We'll just make it between, because we've got 2 players on 2 votes, right? We'll make it between those, Stealthling
Brooks,
and
go ahead.
Lewis.
Yeah, I didn't want to throw Lewis in because I was going to pick Lewis, but I thought no one else has seen it. I didn't because Brooks is coming in. It was unbelievable. Honestly, like what I was witnessing, watching that, I had to mute my mic a lot during it because I was just going crazy,
Screaming. Yeah. Yeah.
So Stealthling and Lewis, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have to watch that one back, and also everyone else in the chat will have to watch that back on the YouTube, which it will probably be uploaded tomorrow, as well as the Team Dynasty versus Flame esports match, and the podcast. I assume they've got lots of YouTube content coming in tomorrow. Make sure to watch all that.
Make sure to follow the YouTube, subscribe. Have we hit 200 yet, Brooksy?
Yeah, we're 205 now.
There we go on the push for 200. So let's get us there. This community is amazing.
Road to 1 million. Let's go.
If we ever reach 1 million, I'll go streaking and film it. No one wants to see it, but everyone. No one wants to admit that they want to see it. That's what
I do. I mean, what? Anyway, it is looking like Lewis is going to be taking this vote, which is fair. I haven't watched it myself. I can't really have a part in that vote, but Stealthling, I think he did play well. I think he was the reason why Complex did so well against Corinthians. But
no offense to Stealthling, but what I witnessed from Lewis there was, I would say, for the pressure of that match as well that was on Resurrection and how it started, going 1-0 down, and to come back and play as well and do what he did is insane.
For sure. So yeah, we're gonna hand it over to Lewis for that. So we've got the Team of the Week sorted. We've got Lewis as the GC, and we've got Jonah and Weekend as the champs, which is
That would be
a very
intense.
strong team of the week.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's going to be it for us today. This is the BGCS show, week 6. I've been Dwarf, I've been joined by Reptic, Kyle, Loopy, and right at the end, Brixie. We always love a
The
mystery
boss
guest
man
at the end.
himself.
It was not planned at all, by the way.
Not scripted.
Make sure to join the Discord, watch the YouTube, subscribe, follow the Twitch channel, TikTok, and the second Twitch channel. And we'll see you all next time for the last week of the season.
Peace.
Peace,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.